Hi friends, this is Haruka from Planet Education. Today I wanted to share some of my thoughts and updates about standardized testing for students. This is Shelter in Place, week 10, May 19th. And if you are a junior, you're in the middle of taking these AP exams. If you're a junior, you're probably frustrated that the SATs have been canceled and so many changes by the College Board and ACT. It's really frustrating. The coronavirus has absolutely added fuel to the controversy about the use of standardized testing in college admissions. And so what's going on? As a result of all of the disruptions, more and more schools are going test optional. And that is, it's been a trend for many colleges and universities to de-emphasize standardized testing for a variety of reasons, including fairness and equity. If you are, right now, there are about 1,200 four-year colleges and universities with test optional policies. But it isn't very straightforward. If you want to check out the list, there is one definitive organization that keeps track of all this, and it's called fairtest.org, fairtest.org. And then you have to make sure that you look at the details. So some schools have had test optional policies, permanent ones, for many years, if not like a decade. And some of them are top schools like University of Chicago. Other schools are experimenting with test optional policies just for this year, or they're saying that they're going to try it on a trial basis for 3 years and see how, the quality of students and make a more permanent decision afterwards. But suffice it to say, this list of test optional schools is definitely increasing. And I will leave a link to the fairtest.org website on this Facebook page. The other nuanced thing is to double check if you are applying to a very selective school. So some schools, the top schools have always looked at holistic education, looked at college admissions from a very holistic perspective. Hi, Annabella. Thanks for joining. I'm talking about standardized tests and the role they play in college admissions. Typically, they are very high up there. I mean, between the grade point average and the standardized tests, those are considered the most important things that get you admitted to colleges. But this year is different because of the coronavirus. Some schools, even MIT, have said this year they're not even going to allow SAT subject scores to be reviewed. That includes math too. Subject tests. So they said in their website, in fairness to all applicants, we won't even consider them for anyone. We think it would be unfair to consider scores from only those who have scored well and therefore chose to send them to us. They are neither recommended nor optional. They are simply not part of our process anymore. So this is huge. When MIT makes a policy decision like this, everybody is paying attention. And I'll put the link from MIT on this Facebook page as well. Cornell University is at this time, the only IV that has suspended ACT and SAT requirements. But that is also comes with a few caveats. And I don't know if you know this, but Cornell University is the only IV that has both a private private colleges as well as statutory colleges, meaning 3 of the schools are public and funded by New York State. And as a result, it could be one of the reasons why they have a higher sensitivity to the economic hardships that coronavirus is placing. I mean, of course, they're in New York State as well, with a huge percentage of students from New York. Their test optional policy and it is also different. So 2 of their colleges, the College of Architecture, Art and Planning, as well as Agriculture, Life Sciences, those schools are not requiring tests. And then the other colleges are test optional. But that they're saying that they're still going to review the test scores if they are provided. So that includes engineering, arts and sciences, the College of Business, and things like that. So again, you have to still look at each school individually. Number 3, let's look at the UCs, right? So last week, the UC President Janet Napolitano recommended suspending the ACT and SAT as an admissions requirement until 2024. But that doesn't mean that the policy has changed. Right now, no policy decision has been made. It's just been a recommendation. So even within the leadership in the University of California system, there has been a lot of tug of war, lots of debates. This Thursday, they're going to be doing some votes as well. And I'm really hanging on to see what the policy decision will be. But basically, the struggle is because the University of California, as a public institution, is really committed to providing educational quality, equity, and access. And how can you right now with the pandemic, the circumstances are not fair. The lower income students in many cases may be suffering from greater hardships, and you really can't tell what's going on in every single circumstance. So that is part of the reason for the seeming inconsistencies. I also noticed that just like what I said with Cornell, for the most selective campuses and the most selective majors, the UC website still shows that it requires SAT subject tests, particularly for engineering and sciences. And it's specific with what is required. So again, take a look at the links below that I'll be providing in a minute. CSUs, if you have not heard, they are going to be online this fall. Yes, all 23 campuses are going to be providing virtual curriculum. So, that's a huge decision that has been made. There are over 480,000 students that are, part of the CSU system. So that includes San Francisco State, San Jose State, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Cal State East Bay, and so on and so forth. And we don't know if this is just part of a trend. I mean, we see some other schools that are planning on having in-person classes in the fall, but I think time will tell because things may still continue to change. From a admissions perspective, if you know about CSUs, they have an eligibility index, and there are only 2 things that are used in the admissions process for the CSUs, and that is the GPA and the test score. And so they have said that they are temporarily suspending the use of ACT and SAT examinations as an eligibility criteria for all CSU campuses for the 2021-22 academic year. So, that just means that the GPA is going to be more heavily weighted. So with all this going on, what are my recommendations? Okay, so I think there's no one straightforward answer because so many things, it depends. If you are aiming for the most selective schools, I would still say prepare to take the SAT or the ACT, whether it is in August or September when you apply. You can say that you have a planned test date, even if let's say you're applying early decision and you still don't have the results. You could still say that they are planned, and I think that the schools will all understand what's going on. Right now, the UCs, they're just still acknowledging that there's a problem. They're even saying that there is they're not providing an alternative test. So I think we just have to hang tight and see what's going on. Policies are changing for both the short term and the long term. And also, what can I say? Another reason for, just double check the details. Policies may be different for different students, because if you are an out-of-state student, the universities may still be relying on standardized tests. Same for international students. Another reason to take the SATs and ACTs or continue with that plan is that schools may be using it for merit scholarships. But that said, I think this coming year, any schools that are using holistic review, which means you're looking at one of up to 10 or a dozen or so criteria, that the other elements of the admissions process are going to count more. So your GPA from your sophomore year, your first semester junior year, and your first semester senior year grades are going to count more. Your essays, if your school is looking at essays, that will count more. And if you have letters of recommendation, if your school requires that, consider those to be more important as well. Lots of changes may still be coming, so hang tight, and we need to stay on top of all this. This is a time when all of us need to be flexible and patient. So, but I hope that helps, and stay with me, and I'll help you ride this journey. I'll be updating this Facebook page with all the links that I talked about, so take a look. Finally, I want to mention the last of my College Knowledge webinars is coming up. I've been having my College Knowledge webinar series, the spring series. So episode number 116 is on Thursday. The topic is liberal arts colleges. So if you are interested in attending schools that focus on the undergraduates as opposed to the graduates, you can come on Thursday at 4 o'clock and hear more. All right. I'll have links for you on this website as well. All right. Take it easy. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me.